she's the...
Hello,
No.
hello. We just got started. Gonna be doing some kind of build diversity diving. Trying to find some wild builds. Put together some content for why would you use style videos. Where I'm basically gonna pick out stratagems or weapons or particular combinations and synergies, and kind of explain why they're really, really good, or why maybe they're obscure, overlooked, maybe not quite getting the attention they deserve in the overall metascape of the game. There's a lot of very standard, usual builds that people run, and there's a couple of things that are just kind of lurking in the background that a lot of people just don't know about, or are afraid to use, or choose not to use because the risk of team killing is high. But if the risk of team killing is high, the risk of probably killing everything in that area is likely also very high. So, you know, pros and cons. Um, might be doing a little bit of this in solo diving. Might be doing a bit of this with groups just to show how functional these sorts of loadouts are with other players. But yeah, I'm gonna be on for quite a while. So anybody who jumps in and decides to roll back to the start of this, hop in the comments. Let me know if there's something that you'd like to try, a recommendation, something that you've seen that other people maybe aren't working with, and we'll go from there. I'm gonna be back in about 5 seconds. I hear something I need to go check on, and we're get rolling. My young child has needs, as most of them do.
So, Niles, what's wrong with Nanny Fine?
All right. Just pulling chat up in case somebody pops in so that, you know, I can be responsive. Let's go ahead and get moving. So we're going to skip right over this weapon right now. I think I have it on just kind of for shits and giggles dealing with certain bots. But we're going to roll back to a couple of other items here. The majority of which I think are going to be those use cases that people talk about being good, but people don't see them being good. So I'm going to run like the Liberator Concussive here. We can keep the grenade pistol on here for the utility that it is, as well as the thermite grenades, because we are going to be dropping bot front right now. And I'm going to keep running the fortified armor set, because into bots, being able to do so is actually, like, very, very rock solid. The reduced recoil and resistance to explosions is just always a big deal into this faction. So more of that can't really be a bad thing, right? There we go.
One shudders to envisage what repulsive larvae gestates within the gloom as we speak.
We're gonna pull off. Check our war update real quick. Obviously, Ibis has fallen. To nobody's surprise, really. Oh, 0% resistance. It's been a while since I've seen.
One mission more.
All right.
Initiating FTL jump to the backbone system. FTL jump successful.
All right.
Mission coordinates
So this is going to be
locked.
more of a control build for the bots.
Hellpods primed.
Kind of lets you take advantage of, you know, just kind of abusing some of their stagger mechanics and things of that nature. Really helpful for squads. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and run a shield generator pack. We're going to go ahead and run an arc thrower. I'm actually going to cancel the shield generator pack. We're going to go ahead and run the supply backpack. It's just generally a better option. We'll go ahead and run the orbital gas strike, and we will back everything up with 500 kgs. I basically don't go anywhere without vitality enhancement. This is arguably the single best booster in the game. There's not really a whole lot to debate on that. It's basically just a 20% boost to your health and completely negates very, very low damage effects. So with gas, for instance, if you have heavy armor and you're in gas, you're taking almost no damage on the gas resistance armors. If you get a chest bleed, this cancels chest bleeds. So, I mean, there's just so many things that this is just better at than, like, basically anything else. Because stamina is great and all right, but stamina is really just, I'd like to move a little bit faster. And that's for run divers. And once you get to a certain level of gameplay, you know, you just don't want to play run divers anymore. You start understanding enemy mechanics better. You don't have to turn and burn at every crappy situation. You can generally find some sort of smooth way to deal with everything going on. Hellpod space, I say it all the time. This is probably the third best one. And just being able to drop with full everything is insane, because you drop with about 2/3 to half of all of these things, and like depending on what you're looking for, this is either 100% like increase in what you drop with, or at the very least it's a 33% increase to a 50% increase to whatever you're dropping with, and that's just incredible. Experimental infusion, a lot of people will run that. This is kind of a get out of jail free card in some cases, which is why I think it's like the second best give or take booster. But this is only active while you're stimming, and the damage reduction that you're getting is 10%, and you could have a 10% damage reduction while you're stimmed specifically, or you could just have 20% more like vitality basically and HP. And so that's why I take this. Pretty much everything else here, not really a thing to do. Everything else here is just kind of off in the corner, not really doing anything for us. Reinforcement budgets may be a solo divers thing if you're kooky. But pretty much top row, right hand side. Sample extricator actually has some uses now. But not a lot. The problem is it's only dropping common samples. So what you're wanting to do with this is go into like level 1 missions. Do eradicates on level 1 through 3. And just, you can very, very fast farm your common samples this way, without having to just run around at some of the mid difficulties that just aren't really all that interesting. Cool, cool. I still like this one. Alright. We're gonna pop in.
Launch initiated.
And I am gonna open this up to other people because this is not a hyper lethal build, but it is an incredibly like potent crowd control supportive build.
Sending out an SOS!
Alright, so the way that this whole thing works is you've got some okay ammunition here from the jump. I thought I heard you. You've got some okay ammunition from the jump with this weapon, and the fire rate increase is pretty good. This weapon's actually really, like, surprisingly good at taking care of rocket devastators. Or not devastators, rocket striders. And the reason for that is if you put a shot right into one of their rockets, it will actually just detonate it. Lord. Accuracy be damned with me right now. Woo! There we go. There we go. Now that's one enemy I don't have a really good answer to in this build.
Calling in orbital strike. Requesting attack. Calling down a support weapon.
We're okay, probably. Oh, we're not. We're not, because you can't stand.
Joining squadron. Deploying Helldiver.
Loving that.
Requesting air support.
Maybe somebody will notice that I'm not alive. Maybe.
Heavy. East. 50 meters.
Reinforcing.
I was gonna say. Like, two of us are just not busy right now.
Fabricator. Southeast. 50 meters. Calling down a support weapon. Point me to the enemy.
Found something.
Sweet liberty, my arm! Frost fabricator, northeast, 50 meters. Requesting air support.
Now, I heard him, but I'd love it if there'd be a little bit more stomping going on, so that you don't walk around the corner of a building and there's a whole Strider hiding there.
Calling in reinforcements. Request approved. Deploying reinforcements. How bomb arm?
But I kind of gotta do what I'm doing right here, otherwise I'm never gonna get my gear back. No. We can move to some relative safety here, though.
Sending in an eagle. Asset destroyed.
Calling in reinforcements.
Northwest. Sending in an eagle. Calling in reinforcements.
Now, I'd really appreciate if the Strider would spend a little bit less time on just me. You know, I tend to find that Striders just want to eat my shit from start to finish, and I can't figure out why.
Automaton outpost destroyed. Objective critical stratagem available. Frost fabricator, east, 50 meters.
We're just gonna get in here where we're not getting like hard screwed over by. Oh yes, thank you. Well, hold on now. You can clear that. Stop being a little bitch. Oh my god, bitch never intensifies yet. That thing is still chasing me.
Requesting air support. Calling in a hell bomb. Requesting orbital.
Well, why put it here then? Yeah, Arrowhead? Like, what are we freaking doing right now?
Calling in a hell bomb. I got terminal fortification. Hell bomb arm.
I'm okay with this.
Sending in an eagle.
Yeah, I'm not that worried about gunships, really, because they do have a limited amount of rockets that they're going to be able to fire before they're done. And they're pretty inaccurate with it as long as you're not just running in one direction all the time, the whole time. So, realistically, they're just not that big a threat once you learn how their patterns work.
Reinforcing!
Support weapon.
Alright, let's see.
Tagging map. East, 100 meters.
Dropping a pin. North, 200 meters. Tac pack, inbound!
Dropping a
Objective
pin.
located.
Northeast,
West.
200 meters.
Objective located. South, 200
Okay.
meters.
Supposedly there's a mine
Cancel
there.
that. Objective located. North, 50 meters.
Rare sample acquired.
Yes, yes, yes. Many rare samples, always. Alright, now sometimes these things do end up starting up a
Box, northwest.
bit of a like patrol spawn thing in the area around you. But I'm not thinking that's gonna happen real quick.
Box, northeast.
Mission at 30 minutes remaining.
Oh my goodness.
Dropship!
They are getting all the drop ships over there, so I'm probably not gonna get any call-ins or
Heavy,
anything of
west,
that sort.
200 meters. Drop ships. West.
Requesting air support!
Tagging map. West, 300 meters.
Ah, okay, yes. There's a blinking light over here that I should do something about. There it is. If I don't get it now, we won't get it ever. And it might be nothing. But it, you know, could be 100 super credits. And I'll take that.
Hellbomb, armed! Clear the area! Get a hellbomb!
Calling in reinforcements!
Hellbomb, armed! Clear the area!
Oh good, they finally revived that guy.
Requesting air support! Eat this!
Nope, don't need that. Although, I can be helpful from here with that real quick.
Sending in an eagle!
There we go.
Requesting orbital strike.
Gas strike incoming.
No, game's not gonna let me. This guy.
Mag's empty.
Drop ship. Requesting fortifications.
Heavy, southwest, 50 meters.
So while we're in close range, we really want to be making use of the arc thrower. I'm not sure what this guy's deal is right now. I'm not sure why this tank is still alive.
Calling in reinforcements.
Requesting air support.
We've got equipment. Helldiver, reporting to the front. Sweet liberty, my... Requesting tac-tac. Tagging map, southwest, 100 meters.
Well, it sounds like we have a Hulk over here. It looks like I was able to convince his allies to eliminate him for me. And you'll notice I'm aiming well above their heads with each shot here. And the reason I'm doing that is because it lets me avoid this chaining to objects in the way. This weapon has a very bad habit of doing that, and if you're not familiar with it, it can seem really, really shitty from the jump, because that's not very clear. That information takes a hot minute to understand.
Rare sample acquired.
There we go. Let's see what we got. There should be stems here. If I'm lucky, there'll be a grenade pouch right here. Yes, there is. Excellent. Might as well take an ammo pouch.
Outpost cleared.
All right. Good job, P2.
Bots, southeast.
So, not really a ghost diver sort, but, you know, there's a couple of enemy types that I don't really want to engage with. So, I'm going to try to just kind of avoid those conflicts, even though I'm with a team here.
Outpost destroyed.
Hellbomb armed. Clear the area.
Photon outpost scrapped.
All right.
Orbital inbound. Sending in an Eagle. Requesting air support.
It's definitely an option, good sir.
I'm on it. Engaging terminal.
Oh, really?
I'm on it. I got the terminal.
Mission map updated.
There we are.
Liberty dispensed.
Dropping a pin. West. 100 meters.
So this is going to be right on the other side of this big hilltop right here. So what I want to do, if possible, is get up on this hilltop and position myself where I can use my 500 to knock out a majority of the stuff on this bunker here.
Requesting fortifications.
Objective critical strategy
Even
available.
better. It is actually right inside.
Objective critical
Requesting
strategy
air
no
support.
longer available.
Here comes the cavalry. Requesting air support.
Calling in orbital strike.
Calling down a sentry. Eagle 1, withdrawing to
You have
recon.
20 minutes
There we go.
remaining.
Not so hard. I'm gonna go in, clear some stuff, make sure there's no samples for the lower levels in my squad.
Heavy. Northeast. 100 meters.
Bots. Southeast.
There's one.
Rare sample acquired.
There's two.
Bots. Southeast.
Getting shot at.
Jackpack inbound.
Little basic guy bot. Gotta listen for that sound, that high-pitched ringing.
Sending in an Eagle.
My life for
Requesting
Super Earth.
orbital.
Tagging map. Southeast. Far.
Oh boy.
Reinforcing.
Democracy has been well delivered.
Excellent,
May your
excellent.
extraction be swift.
Dropping a pin. Southeast. 200 meters.
And there's really not much left to say about this mission, you know? Nice good split across the team with what needed to get done and getting it done. Yeah, not much to say. Really didn't get to show this off in like heavy firefights,
Bot fabricator.
but
50 meters.
I'm running heavy armor. I really don't have the ability to stick to a lot of people in this game. Everybody's always trying to run some high speed,
Calling
super
down a
light
support
armor.
weapon.
They always view mobility as king. I've never been that sort of person.
Bots. East. Cancel that.
So that P2 knows what's coming.
Slide.
T-minus 1
Southeast.
minute, 30 seconds.
Rare sample acquired. Sending in an Eagle.
Attack underway.
Requesting orbital strike.
I whipped that shot. That's kind of crazy.
T-minus 1 minute.
Southwest. Got a sample.
ETA T-minus 30 seconds.
I've got sample collected.
ETA T-minus 20 seconds.
Hell bomb, mark. Requesting air support.
ETA T-minus 10 seconds. Clear landing zone.
Oh, goodness, it's worse than ever.
Here.
Eagle 1 real.
Requesting tac tac. Sample collected. Calling in orbital strike.
Gas strike incoming.
Countdown initiated. Stand by for takeoff.
Reinforcement budget depleted.
Extraction complete. Pelican 1 beginning ascent.
Gotta leave with some form of fireworks every time, you know.
Another victory for the right side of history.
All in all, a relatively chill hell dive anyway. Even with the call-ins that were coming in, I could tell from a distance they really weren't striking hard. So, kind of just an easy flyby. Yeah, see, very, very low kill count just across the board. And I know that out of the guy didn't really do much other.
Will help fund upgrades to the Super Destroyer.
Well, I wish that were true, lady.
Innocents perish with every wasted second.
Mission coordinates locked. Hellpods prime. Engaging orbital thrusters. Orbit synchronized.
So we're gonna start over here. Actually, we're gonna start right about here. And it does seem like we're gonna be getting a lot of what do you call those suckers? Gunships. So I'm gonna go ahead and switch over to the laser cannon. It's just a good general purpose tool for dealing with them. And I'll hang on to my concussive.
Hellpod launch initiated.
straight into a gunship factory.
Stratagem available.
So I'm gonna immediately do something with that.
Calling in a hell bomb.
Objective located. Southeast. 50 meters. Objective located. South.
Engaging terminal. Hell bomb armed. Clear the area. Hell bomb.
Calling down a sentry.
Requesting advanced weaponry.
Sending down support weapon.
Oh,
Tactical asset nearby.
Pack inbound.
all right.
Thank you.
Dropping a pin. Southeast. 100 meters.
Affirmative.
Box fabricator. Southeast. 50 meters. Danger. Calling down fortification. I'm on it.
I got the terminal.
Mission map updated.
Drop ship. Tagging location. Never mind. Requesting orbital
Allied
strike.
destroyer joining squadron. Deploying Helldiver to combat zone.
Yeah, we'll take a 34 kill hell bomb.
Ending in an
Here comes the cavalry.
UMAC. Orbital inbound.
Sending in an eagle.
Automaton outpost destroyed.
Bag's empty.
There we go.
Allied destroyer has left the squadron.
Calling in orbital strike.
I stepped into the gas.
Dropping a pin. North, 200 meters.
Reloading. Spots, north, 100 meters. Slowing down fortification. Requesting orbital. Request.
Gas strike incoming.
Request.
Administering freedom.
Hellbomb armed. Clear the area.
Eagle 1 is reading on that 35.
Okay. We're being a little bit much right now, aren't we, Hulks?
Freedom never sleeps!
Backpack inbound. Supplies marking location. Southeast.
Allied destroyer joining squadron. Deploying Helldiver.
Reinforcing.
And that ought to just about do it for that one.
Calling down a support weapon. Backpack inbound.
Nothing like giving the dog some belly rubs.
Hellbomb armed. Clear the area.
South. Spots, south.
Calling in reinforcements.
Spots, southeast. Joining the fray. Dropping a pin, northeast, 300 meters. Mag's empty. New mag. Drop ship.
See, my goal here isn't to kill.
New mag. Helldivers never die. Spots, southeast. New mag.
Orbital inbound.
Requesting tac pack. New mag. Dropping a pin. East, 200 meters. Reinforcing.
Dropship!
Ready to liberate.
Sending in an eagle! Requesting air support!
Automaton outpost scrapped.
Already done a ton of damage to that thing, so there really wasn't a whole lot left to do.
Enemy to Allied destroyer has left the squadron.
I got the terminal. Engaging terminal. Rare sample acquired. Reloading.
Objective critical stratagem available.
Calling in a hell bomb. I got the terminal.
Hellbomb, armed! Clear the area!
Sub-objective in your vicinity. Bot asset destroyed.
Heavy, east, close. Request heavy, southwest, close. Heavy, east, on my position.
Objective critical stratagem available.
Dropship!
Rare sample acquired.
Requesting fortifications! Requesting orbital strike! Requesting tac pack!
Calling in
Objective
orbital
critical
strike.
stratagem available.
Calling down fortifications! Orbital inbound! Heavy, west, close.
This is pretty straightforward, right? Like, I'm not really taking dumb fights,
Got a sample.
but I'm taking all fights. Like, there's enemies here, so I'm gonna kill them. But I'm not going about it in a way that's just like insane unhinged, where I'm just lobbing shots at enemies unless I'm trying to bait them to me, you
Engaging
know?
terminal. I got the terminal. Heavy, northwest, engaging terminal.
Calling in reinforcements.
Mission progress logged.
Requesting orbital strike. Package acquired. Dropping package. Rare sample acquired. Tagging map. North. 300 meters. Engaging terminal. Reloading.
Package acquired. Dropping package.
Sending in an eagle.
Sometimes when a 500 kg goes off in a Hulk's face, and it doesn't kill them, I question what we use for armor if they can survive that. So a thing a lot of people don't think about is the best way to deal with bots is to just disarm them as fast as possible.
Calling in orbital
That's
strike.
why I've always like withheld that the heavy machine gun is one of the best weapons that you can possibly get for them.
Going in.
Drop ship.
Firing gas strike.
Requesting it.
Requesting fortifications.
Administering freedom.
Calling down fortifications.
Heavy. North. Close.
There we go.
New mag. Reloading. Bot outpost spotted. Requesting orbital strike.
Hell bomb armed. Clear the area.
Lock fabricator. Northeast. Close. Reloading! Orbital strike.
Tack back. Inbound.
Use the game. Lights off, Sonny. Love that.
Drop ship.
Eagle 1 ready.
Oh, when did he start looking our direction?
Calling in reinforcements!
Why are we shooting at anything but that cannon, my friend?
Reinforcements on the way.
Thank you.
Point me to the enemy. Sending in an eagle.
Here comes the cavalry.
Reloading. Rare sample.
Upgrade destroyed.
Affirmative. Tagging out. Northwest, 100 meters. Dropping a pin. Northwest, 100 meters.
We are definitely looking
Tactical
for
asset
one
near
mini
your
nuke,
position.
because getting a mini nuke here will help us deal with this factory or fortress way better. Because we are going to end up dealing with that fortress over there.
Marking location, west.
Dropping package.
Tagging location, danger. Package acquired. Dropping package. Objective located. Package acquired. Objective located. Dropping package. Rare sample collected. Package acquired. Dropping package. Hold position. Package acquired. Dropping package. Package acquired. Heading in control. Dropping package. I got the terminal. Requesting fortification.
Objective completed.
Drop ship. Down fortification. Calling in orbital strike. Calling in orbital strike. Requesting air support.
Eagle 1 rearming. Be back shortly.
Tagging map. Southwest. 200 meters. Reinforcing!
Really?
Reporting to the front. Marking location. Requesting tac pack. Hold position. Requesting orbital. New mag. Requesting orbital. Advance! Say hello to democracy! Tagging location. West. Backpack inbound!
Delivering payload. Eagle 1 withdrawing to rearm.
Fire in the hole! Reload! Reloading! Got a sample! Fire grenade! Calling in orbit! Ah!
Firing gas strike. Mission at 10 minutes remaining.
High value item.
Outpost cleared.
Dropship!
Package acquired. Dropping package. Package acquired. Dropping a pin. West. 300 meters. Follow me.
Well, that was a pretty uneventful fortress clear, so we're just gonna make our way to the objective. I've got the skull in tow, so we can definitely finish up here and still be able to extract, but it might be cutting it a little tighter than we would normally like to see it, but hey, it is what it is.
Bots, west.
Now, I
50
do
meters.
really need them to knock the cannon off this thing.
Dropping package.
And of course, they're not going to.
Requesting air support.
Administering freedom.
Clear the area. Package acquired. Tagging location. Southwest. Rare sample acquired. Yeah.
Main objective nearby.
Dropping package. Marking location. Objective located. South. I got the terminal. Rare sample acquired. Requesting orbital strike.
Box, south.
Sending in an eagle.
Eagle 1 returning to destroyer for resupply.
West. Close. Elbow more.
I'm gonna make the ultimate sacrifice here.
Allied destroyer joining squadron. Deploying Helldiver.
Very much worth it.
Not today. Calling in reinforcements.
Did manage to just at the last second notice that that was a portable hell bomb,
Request approved.
and that I could
Reinforcements on the way.
really just
5 minutes
send it
remaining. I repeat, 5
super
minutes
hard right there.
Democracy has landed. I got the terminal. How'd you like to take for real? Calling in orbital strike. You're back. Can't cancel that. Requesting air support! Going down fortification! Bots, northwest.
Bots, southeast.
Dropships! Requesting orbital strike. Sending in an eagle.
Eagle 1, drawing to recon.
Get some! Get some! Mag's empty.
Democracy has been well delivered. May your extraction be swift.
One minute left. Destroyer preparing to leave.
Reloading.
Oh my god.
Calling in extraction.
Requesting tac.
Requesting
Extraction
orbital.
shuttle inbound.
Calling down a support weapon. Throwing supply beacon.
Reinforcement budget depleted.
We've got equipment. We've got equipment.
ETA T-minus 1 minute, 30 seconds.
Dropship.
skin of our teeth on this one. We're really not
You have maintained
not making
our
it deep.
way of life.
Well,
All these samples will help fund upgrades to the super destroyer.
Greetings, Hellbender. The Galactic
all right.
War.
I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and finish this operation, and then I'm going to move on to some more long-term content-related stuff. Probably going to throw some tier lists down real quick.
Orbit synchronized.
Some conversational topics, basically. Maybe a hot take topic. We are doing a rather crazy one, so we are going to go ahead and take some stuff that's pretty good at clear. What else do I want to take with me here? I believe I'm going to go ahead and take the tank emplacement, and I'm going to just settle with eats here. Eats tend to be pretty good into bots because you get blown all over the place. This is actually insane. Yeah, you are gonna run Hellpod space. You're not gonna run whatever that noise is.
Hellpod launch initiated.
Alright.
Go now.
Landing point should be close to, but not quite in the middle of bullshit land.
Location. Box.
Orbital
Northeast.
inbound. Orbital inbound. Requesting sentry. Box. Southwest.
Box. Northeast. 50 meters.
Action.
Requesting fortification.
Sub-objective nearby.
Oh my god, make contact. What is happening?
Objective located. North.
You will never destroy our way of life. Bag empty.
Oh my. Okay.
Reinforcing. Requesting orbital strike.
Objective critical stratagem no longer available.
Joining the fray. Sample collected. Objective located. North.
On my way. Engaging. I'll take it.
Enemy tactical asset within range. Objective critical stratagem available.
Calling in a hell bomb.
Calling in orbital strike.
Engaging terminal.
Bot asset.
Hell
Just
bomb
fumbling
marked.
codes
Clear
over
the
here.
area.
Marking location. East.
Calling down a support weapon.
Hold position.
Mission is progressing.
I'm out.
Really?
Calling down a sentry. Requesting orbital. I'm sorry. Orbital inbound.
You can hobble after me.
Liberty emerges victorious yet again. Extract when ready. Dropship.
Requesting orbital.
Requesting sentry.
Requesting.
Dropping item. Package acquired. Requesting air support. Dropping package.
I'm out.
Requesting orbital strike. Package acquired. Dropping package.
Requesting air support.
5 minutes left. We can't stay this low much longer, Helldiver.
Okay.
Out of stim. Calling in reinforcements.
Package acquired.
Request approved. Reinforcements on the way.
Dropping package.
Reporting to the front.
Really?
Automaton outpost scrapped.
Tagging map. South. 300 meters.
Calling in reinforcements.
Calling down fortifications. Calling down a support weapon.
Calling in orbital strike. Reinforcing.
I'm out.
Marking extraction point southeast. Requesting advanced weaponry.
Feels good.
Requesting sentry. Calling down a sentry.
I'm out.
Well, that definitely hit where it should.
Sending in an eagle.
Box north.
Dropping package.
Package acquired.
Orbital inbound.
Dropping package.
Requesting advanced weaponry.
Package acquired.
I'm out. Calling in extraction.
Extraction request confirmed. Shuttle inbound.
Sample collected. Dropping item. Dropping package.
ETA T-minus 1 minute and 30 seconds.
I'm out. Get go. Get go. Box northwest.
ETA T-minus 1 minute.
Last reload. Requesting air support.
Democracy's on its way.
Sending in an eagle. Sending in an eagle. Calling down a support weapon. Requesting fortifications.
Reinforcement budget depleted. ETA T-minus 30 seconds.
I'm out.
ETA T-minus 20 seconds.
touchdown. Pelican 1 preparing to depart. Shuttle launch in 20 seconds. Launch countdown complete. We have to leave now. Extraction complete. Pelican 1 beginning ascent.
Extraction really didn't matter to me there. I wasn't really paying attention to whether or not there was a timer. I was just trying to pound down the bots there. Oh, man. Oh, we missed one.
Eagle, back in the fight.
Freedom wins again.
Allied
Not bad, not
destroyer
bad.
has left squadron.
We are going to go ahead and pull something up real quick, though. I'm going to go ahead and pull up Tier Maker. We're going to pop into Helldivers real quick, because Helldivers 2 has plenty of tier lists that are already put together. There we go. See what we got. Yes, this is clearly missing some. Well, that's fine. We can do another option here real quick. There we go. So what we can do is we can just start bringing some stuff together here. Actually, let's do this for the sake of clarity here. Okay. So, a lot of people like to divide these tier lists up by faction because it kind of just does make sense in the grand scheme of things to do it in that way. Um, there is maybe some argument to be made for not necessarily just factioning things out and just kind of giving you a rock solid idea of what stratagems are just in general good. There's absolutely no issue with that. But it does kind of run its course pretty quickly. When you do it that way, you do end up running out of a lot of different options for yourself. When it comes to clarifying why something might be good or why something might be bad, and it's just a lot better to give people an idea based on per faction what stratagems are going to work well for them, because you are so limited. You only get 4 when you go into a mission, and since you only get 4 when you go into a mission, you really want to make sure you're bringing some decent stuff, because in general, and I would probably say about 95 to 98% of players are dropping with at least a support weapon, and if that support weapon is not one of the backpack able support weapons, so like the recoilless, the spear, the wasp, airburst, or autocannon, that sounds to me like all of them in my head. You kind of have to also grab a backpack, or most of the time, people will also grab a backpack because they're generally just such powerful items. Like, your backpacks are incredibly potent, and so the weapons that are taking that backpack slot better also just be incredibly potent. Um, we're definitely going to get into discussing some of that, and I'm even going to make some recommendations based on each item and write them in next to the item, what they need to move up into the A tier. Or at least the higher part of the B tier. Because as far as balance goes in a game like this, you really want everything to feel about average, or specifically in some circumstances better than average. You really don't want to see a lot of S tier sort of items where everybody and their brother wants to take it. It just seems like the natural positive best choice. You really don't want to see a lot of that sort of stuff. So I keep that to a minimum. We're going to keep that to a minimum. I might even make recommendations for adjusting those items around being so strong, so that the rest of everything else can keep up. Because I don't want to, I don't really look at things as we should be nerfing a whole lot. There are some clear outliers in the game that do maybe need some toning back. But those toning back things need to be more quality of life than, like, actual performance. And that just seems like the best place. So we're first going to go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and merge some cells together real quick for us. That way we can get our tiers set up. I won't particularly say there's anything that's failing at this point, but there's definitely some room for improvement on quite a few things. I'm going to go ahead and just center all of these. So this is going to be our S tier here. We're looking at our A tier here. We're looking at our B, C, D, and F. We really shouldn't be having any Fs, but it does occasionally happen where there is, you know, a need to improve something to a really drastic degree. Let me see if I can zoom in here. This kind of looks small on my screen. I do have a big old widescreen monitor, so it does kind of sometimes put stuff not how I want it. We're going to go ahead and hit bold too. These letters are just going to look so much better and clearer and cleaner. There we go. All right. I'm actually going to do this. This actually just kind of makes more sense to me. Oh. Or I could just learn to stay the alphabet. That would actually, you know, maybe save me even more trouble. Nope. I did it right the first time. I'm just kind of tripping. Just kind of tripping. S plus. We'll just go with that. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring stuff into this, and then I'm going to color code the box that it is in based on where it is for that faction. And it's gonna get a little bit messy, but this will be something that I can share later down the line, and pass off in the description for the video that this is going to be in standalone, so that people can actually see how this is going to change. And I'm going to update this every time a war bond or a new stratagem releases, just in general. I might not release a full video on it, but this particular spreadsheet is going to be updated every time for that. I also do plan to include a hyperlink here to some of the data mined sheets that are out there, and that will let people look at a little bit more of what's in the item. Why is it so good? Well, what is the ups and downs on its damage, cooldowns, how hard it hits, what it can detonate, things like that, depending on what type of stratagem it is, because obviously the difference between a 500 kg and the airstrike is, as far as like function on destroying objectives, about the same, but what it does and the amount of damage per explosion and everything like that is going to be vastly different. So they're going to have two completely different use cases despite having some mostly similar stats. All right. So S plus tier is the easiest place to start. And the reason it's the easiest place to start is because these are things that basically feel mandatory. These things are so generically strong that you'd kind of be hard pressed to not take it into every faction. Or at the very least into the faction it's good at. It's one of the best things. Give me just a moment. I really am just getting obliterated by allergies right now. So, that being the case, the easiest one to put in here is going to be recoilless rifle. And the recoilless rifle is absolutely insane into bugs and bots. So it's going to be in here twice because it does just sit well at the top of the pack for these factions. And like, I don't think there's any real question as to why that's the case, or at least I would hope there's no real question as to why that's the case. They're just kind of well and above everything that you'd expect for an anti-tank weapon, and then some. And so, because they're that strong into all of those other factions, Like you can't ignore it. It just always feels like an item that you can definitely just take. And so that's where it's going to sit. So with recoilless rifle, as far as the squids go, honestly, it's probably somewhere around C or bottom of B tier. It's still always a functional thing. The main use that you're going to get out of recoilless rifle is something that a lot of people forget it even does, and that is the alternative fire for it. It's pretty decent at like blowing up large hordes of voteless, but I don't know why you'd be bringing it into squids to kill voteless, because that's just not its purpose. Let me see if I can learn to spell. There we go. And so it really just kind of exists into that faction, less than it's actually positively good or anything of that nature. All right. The next thing that's going to be sitting in S plus is gonna be the, as far as support weapons go, we're really not looking at anything that's crazy. I think, to be completely fair to it, the stalwart does fall into S plus, where it kind of does feel like a mandatory option. If you have to take something that isn't one of these two, you're gonna end up taking the stalwart. I feel like maybe it's less mandatory and more it's just a good solid S choice. And that's actually into bugs. Because if you take the stalwart into bugs, and you take several of the different like backpack options. So if you're taking supply backpack, this thing is basically infinite ammo. If you're taking one of the guard dogs that like picks up for something that you can't do, so if you're gonna take the laser dog, it's really good at keeping light enemies down, and you just get to be your team's premier like light chaff slayer. If you take like the medium guard dog, it's really good for covering you those heavier enemies, and then you can just focus on the lighter enemies and kind of just pepper the medium enemies with that regular guard dog. But I think where it really shines is when you take the gas dog, because the gas guard dog, it kind of just turns off bug AI, and when bug AI is off, they really have a hard time killing you. And if you can just spray into them near infinitely with a hail of bullets, chances are pretty high you're going to do something rock solid. Yeah, but that's about all Stalwart is getting on this. There are a couple of psychopaths, like Thick Fillet, who want to put Stalwart up in this kind of level against every faction. It's really rock solid into bugs. I don't think it quite qualifies for S into squids. And I definitely don't think it's like an S plus or even really an S into bots. I think into squids and bots, it's about an A tier, to be honest. And we can put that in here. Well, I guess we just don't get to copy paste on Google Sheets. And I guess I'm going to accidentally hit caps lock. This is just going great. There we go. Thank you for autofilling. There we go. I will say something that is S plus, that's in the same vein of the machine guns, is going to be the MG43. MMG. And the reason I think that that falls into S plus is because into the squids right now, and I know the squids generally just are dying to everything at this point in the game, but into the squids, the MG43 kills every single enemy in that faction in about 5 seconds or less, and that includes harvesters. If you're any sort of decent with this weapon, or you're bringing peak physique, or siege ready, even kind of engineering kit might be your option because you're getting that recoil reduction. You're kind of just gonna tear that faction apart. It does enough damage per bullet to rip the legs off of every single voteless it touches if you're aiming for their legs. And if you take their legs out, they are going to bleed out, so you don't have to really deal with them again. So one of your best strategies is just going to be to hit the dirt, take your MG43, just kind of blast at their shins area, and you're going to cut every single one of them down. The overseers, both the elevated and the regular stickmen overseers, do not have a chance against this weapon either. They get staggered very, very heavily by each bullet, so they have a very hard time fighting back into you or even running through you. The stickmen do a better job, but if you start hitting them around their head, they really can't do anything. And it does have the fire rate to rip through that ablative armor and the damage to tear through their main health pool pretty quickly. A lot of people have basically learned the trick with this thing now into harvesters. You kind of shoot that zone, that little connecting bone between the upright leg and the main torso there, that little joint in between there. If you snap that off, just one leg, those harvesters do go down. And so that's where that falls right there. Otherwise, into the other two factions, the MG43 is like realistically just a B tier. It's not doing anything into bugs or bots that you can't get out of like a lot of primary weapons at the same degree. And it's kind of sad that that's where it's at. I think that has a lot to do with just bullet damage in general. And I'm definitely going to talk about that once we get this all spaced out and splayed out where everybody can see what's going on. But like you're not really doing a great job into bugs by just spraying bullets at them. They kind of need like explosions and area effects. So things like gas and fire work really, really well into them. The arc effects that actually chain or strike multiple targets at the same time. The reason shotguns are good into bugs is because you're hitting 2 or 3 enemies at the same time. It's not that the damage is really, really good. It's just you're able to chip it into multiple enemies. And so you kind of whittle down a section at a time. And the machine gun is just not really great at that. You'd think, because that's what they're really good at in reality, that's what they'd be really good at. But because of angle reflection, there's a lot of enemies that just don't really care that much about a medium penetration machine gun. And so you might as well, if you're going to do that, you might as well just take one of the medium penetration primaries. Liberator, Penetrator, Adjudicator. What's the other one? I think that's it from assault rifles that are medium pen off the top of my head. I could be wrong, but I got a lot jumbled around in here right now. But yeah, that's just not doing that incredible for you. To finish off the machine guns, we're going to do the HMG down in here. And I could have swore I told all of these that they were going to be bold. And the HMG is a fine enough weapon into basically all 3 factions. And I'm just going to actually leave it here. I might just take and put it as, what's a good color for basically everybody? It's a good, beautiful color for everybody. We're going to do this kind of lavender color here. That's where it sits. It's an A tier weapon. Into bots, it's basically a primary that lets you one-shot headshot every single Devastator. It lets you faceplate Hulks. It lets you tear through all of the bunker scout turrets from basically any angle as long as you're aiming straight at them. It's fast enough on the heat sinks and weak points on all the enemies and bots. Just about 10 or 20 bullets somewhere between there is enough to rip off the chin guns on the Striders. And if you want to go ahead and give them belly rubs, you can crank the fire rate up to 950, sit there under its gut and just dump the entire mag. It's not going to kill it off of just one with no additional damage, but most of the time, if you're able to get that close to a Strider, it's because it's already taken a hit or two, and you're just going in to finish the job, which means you're going to have a great time doing that, because you can also just one-tap headshot all the Devastators that it puts down, and then saunter on up between its legs and shoot it in the tummy. Bugs, it's a solid weapon into, for the reasons that the MG43 is not. You're actually able, with heavy penetration, to take care of some of the enemies on the bug front that the recoilless is really, really good at. So, like, the HMG is just incredible at dealing with everything short of the Bile Titan, and it will do so with no real issues. The little bit of ammo bump that they gave it was rock solid. I will say there's a caveat on the bug front of you do absolutely 100% have to take the Siege Ready armor set, because you cannot be caught dead reloading this thing while bugs and roaches are running at you, because they will immediately hunt you down, and there is nothing that you can do, because this thing still has about a 6-second reload frame cycle, and that will immediately get you killed on the battlefield if you're not paying attention. So yeah, that's where the HMG is going to stand. The autocannon, now that the bug isn't causing it any problems, it's realistically sitting at B, just kind of across the board. I can hear autocannon being an A for bots specifically, but for bugs and squids, it's really, really just a B. It's good at taking down overseers. You kind of have to sort of treat it almost like a sniper rifle into the squid front. But into bugs, it starts to fall off unless you're very, very specifically using it for the things that it's good at. And that is a little bit of everything. But never to the degree that it's like matching anything else that's going on this list. And we will do this for our bugs. We will do this for our bots. And we will do this for... no. We will do this for our bots, because I'm not dumb. I'd just be goofy. There we go. And now autocannon's in. Laser cannon, in the talking of cannons, laser cannon into bots is a B tier. It's just okay. It really, really does need a damage increase or some other quality of life increase to put it where it should be in the overall scape of the game. But it doesn't ever get to the point where you feel like you're particularly strong with that weapon. It feels good. Like, always it feels good, but it never feels like, wow, this is amazing. This is great. I can't believe that I would ever use anything else. It's not that strong. But it does all right. It does just fine. I think it's a side grade to the HMG into bots. I think it's an immediate step down into bugs. And I mean that in a solid way. It is actually like just about D tier into bugs. I see people sometimes pick autocannon into bugs, and I'm like, oh, are we doing a challenge run? Do we hate ourselves? Did we lose a bet? What occurred here? Because that weapon is just so inordinately terrible into bugs. I can't imagine why somebody would want to bring it unless they were being forced to do so. Squids, it's okay. It bounces off shields pretty heavily, so you can't really use it to deal with the harvester shields, and you can't really use it to deal with the dropship shields, the warp ship shields. But into every other enemy, it's kind of all right. It does very, very much struggle into the elevated overseers, and the reason it very much struggles into the elevated overseers is because of the ablative armor and the fact that they're really, really hard to hit. It just doesn't go well into them at all. And so it's actually gonna kind of sit in B for bots and sit in C for the other two. And that's gonna be our laser cannon right there. Yep. How did I do that twice? That's pretty funny, actually. There we go. And we're going into bots here. And this is going to be into our bug faction. There we go. The Wasp, in terms of other weapons that are kind of niche and kind of unique in the way that the laser cannon is, the Wasp is just not very good. The Wasp has a lot of problems. I think the main problem that the Wasp has is that it has a backpack slot. And if it didn't take your backpack slot, I think the Wasp would actually be a very solid item. Because what the Wasp basically is it is a like lock-on fire grenade launcher slash autocannon. Like it kind of fits the role more of autocannon than it does grenade launcher. But it's supposed to be anti-tank, and it just doesn't have the damage to be doing any sort of anti-tank. I feel like that armor pin is on there just to make sure that it does its full damage to everything short of vehicle class enemies. But, you know, I would rather the weapon just either be more consistent or allow me to carry a supply pack with it. Something like that, where I can just kind of pack a ton of ammo for the thing and be my team's pseudo artillerist. Like, there's some cool stuff that you can do at that point that makes it an actually fun weapon. But until that happens, I think it literally is gonna sit in C tier against bots and squids, and it's gonna sit in D tier against bugs. It's not a weapon you can take into the bugs. You're gonna just hit everything but the target that you want to. The artillery shot, which is the secondary fire, is what you'd think would be really good into bugs, but it's really not. And if that's what you want out of a weapon, just use the airburst rocket launcher, because that thing actually is pretty good. So yeah. There we go. All right. Speaking of the airburst rocket launcher, I actually really think it's pretty good. The airburst rocket launcher is really really good into both bots and bugs. It falls behind a little bit into the Illuminate, and the reason is because it can't do anything to harvesters. So you have to find another part of your kit that's able to do anything at all to harvesters. And by that I mean their shields and their main pool. Because you can do it with that weapon, but it's kind of a massive skill check to do so. And I don't know why you'd want a massive skill check other than ego boosting when you can just kind of take an MG43 into that faction, and that's the only weapon that you need as long as you have a supply pack. You literally don't even need stratagems at that point, right? You're kind of just taking everything else because you have to put something in that slot. And that's kind of how that's shaken out there. I really don't see it falling too far behind, but I will put it in B tier because that's kind of an average level of performance. It should be becoming quite clear to anybody who's checking in here that I am not a typist by any stretch of the imagination. I do have some background in coding, but I was very, very good at hunt and pecking with that, and I knew exactly where I was going, and I could kind of string lines together. I'm a lot better off when I'm typing in multiple words, for sure. We've got the Quasar. The Quasar cannon is... It's got its pros and cons, right? I think there's a bug loadout if you want to use the Quasar cannon to let you just kind of one-man band the whole faction. That's really, really good, but it's still not, in my opinion, like S tier good. I think it's falling off, and falling off pretty hard and pretty fast. There's just becoming more and more ways to deal with things that the Quasar deals with, even without giving up your backpack slot. Like the grenades are now doing a lot better. If you're gonna give up that backpack into bugs, you're gonna be running recoilless, and then you're kind of just one-shotting everything as well. I do think the Quasar just needs a little bit of quality of life, in my opinion. I don't see how that weapon is not just sitting in S at all times, because that's where it should be. And that's where the feeling of a weapon like that should be. While it was bugged and it would charge on your back, that's exactly where it sat, was S+. You're intentionally not picking it despite knowing it's your best option. And that is into all factions, by the way. It kind of just does fine anywhere you're willing to take it. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it into squids, but it'll one-shot the leg joint if your primary can take the shield off, so that's not really a major complaint. Okie dokie. So we got the grenade launcher. The grenade launcher is kind of B tier. It can be A tier into bugs, and nah, even still, I think it's basically just B tier in general. Because it never really gets to a point where, hold on, where did my text go? Where it feels so strong that you want to take it over basically everything else. But it's pretty good. It's pretty good, and if you haven't given it a crack, I definitely recommend at least trying to. What else do we have for these support weapons? What have we not named that isn't up here right now? The spear. The spear is a troublemaker because sometimes the spear is like S tier, and then sometimes the spear is like C tier. And that is super dependent on you as a player, like who's using it. Can you take advantage of the things that it can do and all of its little quirks? Or are you like 99% of people, you don't even know what those little like advantages and quirks are? And so you're kind of just using it to kill factory strider heads or backplates, tanks, things like that, and just kind of firing it, hoping it's going to do all the work you want it to do. Because most of the time, it is not going to do all of the work that you want it to do. It is going to do maybe half of that. It's got a long way to go, long way to go before it's ready to be anything decent. That being the case, I am going to just go ahead and leave the spear in B. It's still a really good weapon. It just isn't quite getting out of the average tier until it gets a really good QOL buff of some kind, which cannot come soon enough, in my opinion. All right, so we got recoilless rifle, we've got quasar cannon, we've got spear, we've got airburst rocket launcher. So those are all of our main rocket launchers taken out. We've got the stalwart MG43 and HMG in here. Those are our machine guns. We've got the grenade launcher, the auto cannon, and the laser cannon and wasp in here. So those are all good. So the only two things that I can think of that we're missing in here are going to be the eats and the commando. And eats and commando are both easily, and this might be a hot take, they're easily S tier. If you want to bring either one, they're both absolutely fantastic. They can easily shift the meta. The benefit of having them is it doesn't matter when you die, where you die. If they're off cooldown, you have them. And generally, they're off cooldown because their cooldown is very small. So we can easily play them into any of these factions, and they do a damn fine job. They do great, and eats do great into squids. They let you fuck up overseers pretty easily. They let you one-shot the leg joints on harvesters. They're obviously hyper-functional into bots, obviously hyper-functional into bugs, for the same reason that recoilless rifle is good. You just only get 2 of them. It's like a massively reduced quantity recoilless rifle that does just a bit less damage. But they are doing just fine across all factions. Same thing with commando, because all commando is, if you think about it, is a kind of skill expressive, slower moving, 4-shot eats kind of. It lets you pick up one, and then you're basically running around with both your eats. Which is, in my opinion, the reason a lot of people like to even take commando, is because having no need to reload your eats, you can kind of just fire all 4 shots of the commando, whereas your eats, you kind of get one, and then you got to go back to the hell pod and pick up the other one, and forget where it is, and all that noise, and nobody wants to do all that junk. But, yeah. This is where our support weapons are going to sit. I think that's a good place to call it right now, because we can start working on this a little bit more tomorrow. I did put in a lot of hours at work today, so I'm kind of just a bit worn down. I might pick this up sometime in the later part of the early morning. Be streaming again and continue working on this. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Anybody who catches this video later, I appreciate you watching. Where we are with these support weapons right now, go ahead and leave a comment if you disagree with anything that I'm saying right now. or have some evidence as to why something should move up or down. And I'd very much appreciate that because I'm open for discussion on these. I know a lot of where the community stands for some of these weapons, but the community is not all playing Super Helldive at all times, and I literally do not leave that difficulty. I don't want to play anything else. If I'm playing this game, I'm playing the hardest difficulty it has because everything else feels like slop. So yeah, have a great one. I will catch you again between 12:30 and 1 o'clock a.m. Central Time.